20 seconds.
Good evening. My name is John Hins. I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Committee. I represent District 21, which consists of the south side of the city of Oshkosh alongside Lake Winnebago. In a moment, I will ask the members of the committee to introduce themselves, and I will also ask the staff to introduce themselves and explain the appeals procedure. The hearing process is as follows. Please turn off or silence your cell phones. All testimony is given on the record. Please come forward when recognized, and you will be sworn in by our stenographer. When talking, please speak clearly so that all in attendance can hear what you have to say. When you are giving your testimony, please state if you are for or against the item that you are testifying about. The committee doesn't want conversations between members of the audience. If you feel the need to have conversation with other individuals, we ask that you please step outside the room. If you have questions of a particular speaker, please come forward and ask your questions of the committee, and we will try to find out the answers for you. I forgot, I didn't write down the date. What's the date that we're meeting for the next one? For the August 5th. August 5th. The committee will make its decision on August 5th. And as with all county meetings, it is an open meeting. However, no additional testimony will be given at that time. This is your one and only opportunity to present testimony on the record. The deliberative meeting is held on the third floor conference room of this building, and the meeting time will be at 7:30 a.m. on August 5th. At this time, I'll ask the rest of the committee to introduce themselves.
I'm Mary Beth Gaver, representing District 12, which is an east and west portion of the town of Oshkosh and the northern portion of the city of Oshkosh.
Good evening, I'm Tom Egan. I represent District 33, which consists of the town of Rushford, part of the town of Amro, town of Poigan, part of the town of Utica, EBSCA.
My name is Howard Miller. I represent District 36, which is the towns of Wolf River and Winchester and the western part of Clayton.
Hello, I'm Shauna Sister. I represent District 32, which is Black Wolf, Utica, part of Utica, and the Carmine.
I'm Kerry Rhodes, zoning administrator with the Planning and Zoning Department. The appeals process is as follows. Code amendment, zoning map or text. One, anyone wishing to protest a zoning map amendment needs to do so at least 24 hours prior to the item being considered by the county board. Contact the zoning office during normal working hours, and the staff will assist with this procedure. Two, an aggrieved person may appeal a final decision relative to a code amendment, either text or map amendment, by filing an appeal with a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of final decision. For conditional use, one, an aggrieved person may file an appeal claiming the required procedural requirements were not followed relative to a conditional use with the Board of Adjustment prior to the issuance of the final decision or within 30 days of the issuance of the final decision. Contact the zoning office during normal working hours and staff will assist with this procedure. Two, an aggrieved person with their own legal counsel may appeal final decision relative to a conditional use to a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the final decision.
Thank you, Kerry. And we will move to item number 1.
Item number 1, application number 2022-ZC-6070, applicant Joseph Norris and others, agent Justin Pucker, location of premises 264 Old Oregon Road, tax parcel 004-0203, legal description being part of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of section 36, township 17 north, range 16 east, town of Black Wolf, Winnebago County, Wisconsin. Explanation: applicant is requesting a zoning map amendment to R1 rural residential for continued residential use of the property.
Thank you. And do we have the applicant or a representative of them here to speak?
Justin Parker.
Okay, if you would step forward and swear in.
Swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address.
Justin Pucker, N7898 Lakeshore Drive. N7898 Lakeshore Drive, Fond du Lac, 54937.
Thank you. Do you have anything to say on this item?
No, I mean, I guess I've been asked by many people why we want to rezone it from ag, and it's just literally to get the loan that we're looking to get for.
Is there anybody else here who would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this item? Going 3 times, anyone else here to speak on this item? Seeing no one. Was there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak to this item? Thank you. If you do, just unmute yourself and speak up. It's not looking like anybody's there. Did anybody on the committee have any questions for the petitioner? Just want to make sure we get clear that beforehand. Okay, we will close the public speaking
I have
section.
correspondence.
Oh, you have correspondence?
Yes.
Okay, read that into the.
We did receive an email from Robert Nelson. He stated the following. The land on lot 1 is adjacent to my backyard and side yard, so naturally I'm concerned about how the land may be used or possibly developed in the future. Specifically, I'm opposed to land being rezoned residential at this time unless a deed restriction is first created that prevents the land from being subdivided now or in the future, regardless of who owns it. I am not concerned so much about the applicant will subdivide the land after purchasing it, because he was told they would not do that, and I will take him at his word. However, I am concerned about what could happen in the future if the land were sold to someone else. Having the land zoned residential opens a door for it to be subdivided. So for my own peace of mind, I'm asking a legal guarantee, i.e. a deed restriction, that the land cannot be subdivided. Of course, this would have to happen before the zoning change to residential. I'll point out that it is not legal to place conditions on a zoning change. We also have a resolution from the town of Black Wolf recommending approval of the zoning change with the following findings. 1, town has an adopted land use plan. 2, action agrees with the town land use plan.
Okay, back to the committee. Is there any, okay, the correspondence has been read in. Any comments or? Accept a motion. No.
No.
Oh, no, we don't do that tonight.
No.
We just close the public hearing. Right? Yeah.
Public hearing.
Getting ahead of myself here. Sorry. Used to running for the city. We did it all in one
I
day.
do have a question. When is that meeting exactly? Because I was told it was the 16th, so I guess I was wrong on that.
August 5th at 7:30 a.m. and that will be up on the 3rd floor of this building.
The 16th may be the county board meeting where it's the final approval
That
occurs.
sounds, yeah, it sounds like the right time.
That could be what that date was.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the 5th is us actually voting on this item.
So I wouldn't have to go that, the 16th is November.
No, you really don't.
It's up to you if you want to or not.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, we will close item number 1, move on to item number 2. And Vice Chair.
Okay, application number 2022-ZC-6060, applicant Brian Cook and others, agent Brian Cook. Location of premises 4831 Rivermore Road, tax parcels 016-0100, 016-0101, 016-0102, and 0103, 030-1015-01, 030-1014, 030-1014-01. Legal description: being part of the northeast quarter of Section 3, Township 18 North, Range 15 East, Town of Amro, and all lots 66 and 68 of the plat of Rivermore, located in part of the southwest quarter of Section 35, and in part of Government Lot 4 of Section 34, Township 19 North, Range 15 East, Town of Winnebago, all in Winnebago County, Wisconsin. Explanation: applicant is requesting a zoning map amendment to A2 General Agriculture to continue general agriculture use of the property.
Thank you. And do we have the applicant here for this one? And would you like to speak to this item? Just step forward and she'll swear.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address.
Ryan Cook, KOCH, 4979 Rivermore Drive, Amro, 54963.
Did you have anything to say on the item?
The land has always been used for agricultural use. I'm unable to find out when it was changed to residential. All the parcels are plenty big enough, like smallest parcel, 9 acres. They're 9, 16, 60, 80. Something sort of 30, I think is another one.
Mhm.
So we don't want to see the land ever developed. From conversations with all my neighbors, they're all on board with that. We don't want to develop either. Do you have any questions?
After this, the rest of the speakers are. Any questions, I should wait till the end for, right?
Yeah.
Hey, is there anybody else here who would like to speak to this item? Anybody on Zoom that's here that would like to speak to this item? Just unmute yourself and let us know if you do. Okay, anybody else to speak on this item? Anybody else to speak on this item? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment section. Did the committee have any questions of the petitioner? Okay, do we have correspondence?
Yes, we do. We received a resolution from the town of Amro recommending approval of the zoning map amendment request with the following findings. Town has an adopted land use plan. 2, action agrees with the town land use plan. We also have a resolution from the town of Winnebago, because a couple parcels are in the town of Winnebago as well. This resolution recommends approval with the following findings. Town has an adopted land use plan. 2, town action does not agree with the land use plan. 3, town agrees to amend its land use plan.
Thank you. And with that, I guess we will close item number 2. Item number 3.
Application number 2022-CU-6090, property owners Metz Family Farm, agent none, tax parcel 030-0420, location of premises 6435 Wiesner Road South. Legal description being all of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of section 28, township 19 north, range 15 east, town of Winnebago County, Wisconsin. Code reference, chapter 23, section 23.8-41, exhibit 8-1, 5.02, and 17.05. Description of proposed use. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a campground and a bed and breakfast.
Thank you. And do we have the applicant here to speak to this item? Just come forward.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address.
Mark Metz, METZ, 1514 Upper Parkway South, Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, 53213.
And do you have any comments or anything you'd like to?
Our application, I think, speaks for itself. The only information I'd add is that from the 1930s until the 1980s, about 55 years, this was the use of it when my grandparents ran it as the Wiesner Resort during my entire childhood. So it's returning it to a prior use.
Anybody else here to speak on this item? Anybody on Zoom, just unmute yourself and let us know you want to speak to this item.
Can you hear me?
Sure can. Go ahead, Jake.
You want to raise your right hand?
I got a question.
Hold on, Jake. We need to swear you in first.
You want to raise your right hand?
Yes,
You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
yes, I do.
State your name and address.
Jake Wiesner, 3349 Vinland Center Road.
Do you have either the volume on so you can hear yourself speaking, or are you speaking really close to the microphone because we're getting a lot of feedback on this end?
Hold on 1 second.
That's usually one of those two things.
Is that better?
Well, we're still getting the echo in the background. So, is it you? Are you on speakerphone?
Yeah.
That
How's that?
Keep
There,
talking.
there we go. We didn't get an echo on that one. How's that? We didn't get an echo on that. Okay, can we get your name and address one more time now, please?
Jake Wiesner, 3349 Vinland Center Road.
Finland Center. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jake.
My only concern with the campground is it is part of the 137 acres that butts up to it is in the wildlife restoration easement without public access. Will any of these campers be allowed on that land?
Yeah, no, hold on. We'll come back to you. We don't want to have the talking between. We'll ask that question of the petitioner for you as soon as you're finished. Do you have anything else, Jake?
Yeah, and if so, how are you going to keep them from crossing the line? Because we have already had issues. And now that you're going to turn this into a campground with more campers, we need to come up with a solution.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Jake?
Yes. Will there be quiet hours? In the bottom of the description, it says that there will not be loud noise. And several times last year, we were hunting in the evening, and it sounded like there was a concert going through all of the land. And we have a game farm, take the kids up there hunting, the old people, and it's just kind of a menace when you're trying to hunt and recreate, and it sounds like a rock concert.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm asking is, there going to be quiet hours? And how are we going to stop trespassing?
All right. We will get back to the petitioner and we will ask these questions for you. Do you have anything else, Jake?
That should do it for now.
Okay, thank you. Just hang on and I'm sure we'll be getting some answers for you shortly. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to this item?
We will, and then she's our other neighbor. She can go after us.
This item?
Yeah.
Okay, whoever wants to.
I have a question.
Oh, we have somebody on Zoom, another person on Zoom? Yes, sir.
Raise
Hold
your right hand.
on, we have to do the swearing in part.
Raise your
Okay.
right hand, please.
Pardon?
Raise your right hand, please.
Okay,
Do you solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address.
Marvin Coleman, it's 5210 Highway 116, Amro, Wisconsin.
Okay, go ahead.
My question is just, what are the areas that would be used for camping? Is it just camping in the area where the buildings are? Or is there going to be some additional camping facilities built on the property where there aren't any now?
Okay. We'll make sure to get that question answered for you. And is there anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on Zoom while we're still looking on Zoom? I think we have everybody that's on there. Doesn't look like it. Okay, now, do we have other people that were here that wanted to speak?
People go in this order, if that's okay.
Okay.
Do you want us to respond? or-
Not yet. We will ask the questions. We'll ask the questions of you. So unless one of you comes up and actually answers it, one of the others comes up and answers it. I think we got that.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name and address.
Evelyn Dorn, D-O-R-N, 6520 Wiesner Road, Amro, Wisconsin, 54963. I have lived up on Wiesner Road all my life, and I congratulate Trevor for doing this. And there is absolutely no problem there with the, if he has fireworks or if he has a little music, it doesn't bother us at all. And with this hunting issue, it's kind of a joke. I mean, how often do they hunt? In the fall, and that's it. And they have their land, which is quite a ways away from there. So I don't see any problem at all. And I think that's a good idea for him. And years ago, when I was small, I used to go down to his grandparents' place when they had all the cottages and everything, and there was never a problem. And I don't think there's going to be a problem now.
Sorry, I've been asking the committee if they have questions for the people speaking, but. Questions? Okay. Sir, you want to come on forward and be sworn in?
Sure.
Want to raise your right hand? You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
State your name and address.
Trevor Metz, and I live at 6435 Wisner Road, the property in question. So a few things, as Evie said, Jake's property is more than a mile away from ours. There is, there's an inaccessible area of marsh and shrubland, and that's where the border is. Jake and his dad, Kenny, is that right? I used to be able to hunt the land, but when I moved in 5 years ago, there was some conflict because I wanted to bring my own hunters in there who were willing to pay. So, we haven't really spoken since then, but that's part of the context of what Jake is talking about with the hunting. As far as the trespassing goes, I know of 2 times, and we were in contact both times. He texted me when someone went, they passed the boundary. One time, there was a sign up and the person walked right past it, so I had to talk with them about that. The second time, he got somebody on a trail camera. So there were 2 incidents. The last one happened, I believe, 3 years ago. Since then, he's put up a big metal gate where the only accessible pathway to his property is. And Jake, correct me if I'm wrong, but since you put that gate up, it has not been a problem. I haven't heard a word from you for several years. So that's part of the context here in this relationship. As far as the noise goes, Evie lives a heck of a lot closer, and I think can speak to that. So do the Boozers, who I believe might have contacted you. Same with the Harders, and I think that was it. That's pretty much everyone that lives on the road. Are there any other questions from
I'll address the easement.
Yeah.
And Mark's question.
Quiet hours, you could reach out to me and we could certainly work something out, Jake. That's not a problem for me. But yeah, I'm open to communicating with any of our neighbors because my neighbors will tell you. So.
Sean, go ahead.
Do you have established quiet hours or will you?
Very simple matter.
And as far as concerts, do you know how many times a year you might want a concert? Or?
We've never had a concert and we're not going to. I hear music from the Fin and Feather, up a mile away on the river that is louder than what we have. Yeah, we've never had a concert, so I'm not sure what's going on with that.
I have a question. So since you live there and since we viewed it, and you had a few campers there, what is your goal for how many sites that you would have at one time?
Good question. And this actually goes back to what Jake said too about expanding. So to be clear, we're not expanding anything. And it's not even really a campground. That's more of like a health department designation. If you have a certain number of buildings of a certain size, then it's just technically a campground. There's not actually really any camping. There's 3 cabins and a house that people stay in. And they're all kind of grouped up right together near the driveway. And then there's about 170 acres that nothing happens on. And those are kind of a buffer between us and all the neighbors who aren't on Wisner Road. So if you're looking at that. So yeah, we're not expanding anything. There's not going to be any campers, especially in the DNR easement, like he said, that will be, there's not going to be anything there.
Thank you.
What else? Thank you very much. We have anybody else to speak to this item? Anybody else?
Well, I can also address the concerns.
We'll come back, we'll come right to you, just as soon as I close this part. Okay, now we come back to the committee members. Do we have any questions of the petitioner? I would like, if you would have anything to add to help answer some of the questions that have been asked, now would be your time.
Sure. So there are 177 acres, I think, 173 acres. We're talking about 40 of them that have pre-existing buildings. No buildings will be added. These are the same buildings that, well, with one exception, the garage was torn down and replaced in the same place. These are the same buildings that my grandparents rented out as cottages for 50 years in the 30s, 40s, 50s through the 80s. As Trevor said, the designation campground is not our choosing. That's what the state insists that it be called or licensed as if it has certain buildings of certain sizes. But it's not a campground with people pulling in with RVs. We're not going to have electric hookups for RVs. It's these 3 little cabins that were rented for half a century before, and we'd like to do it again. Other than the 40 acres that include the homestead where Trevor lives, the rest, as has been mentioned, is in a permanent wildlife restoration easement that my parents gave to the DNR. So we can't develop that. We can't put cabins. We can't allow people to park trailers on any of that. The easement had a reservation to allow the owners and their guests and invitees to walk throughout the east premises. So we have a walking trail that wanders through this marshland and forest land, and that's it. That's all we can do under the DNR easement. So we won't be getting any closer to the Wiesner or the Kuhlman properties. And I was trying to put it together. If they were hunting and they heard the noise, there was nobody there. That would have been November.
We also don't usually hunt at night.
But it hasn't been used in November during hunting season, so I don't know where the noise would have come from. Pretty much by the end of September, people don't want to come there anymore. So.
Actually, that would make sense because bow hunting starts, I want to say August. So August, September. So it could have been August, September.
I think it's a dark.
Okay.
Without knowing for sure.
We had a
They
September.
small game.
My son got married there in September 2 years ago, and we had a party. That was the only time that we've had music. Was in September 2 years ago.
Nobody has ever contacted us.
Second week of October last fall,
Was that Jake?
the youth hunt.
And
Saturday night, the music was so loud.
Jake, can you hang on? I actually need to recognize you if we're gonna come back to you on something like this. Is the committee okay with having Jake speak again or no?
I'd like to ask Mr. Metz a question
You'd like to ask one question?
about what
Okay,
he
we'll
just.
take care of that first.
So you said you have an easement from the DNR,
We gave 2 days.
or an easement you gave to them, but in the documentation, your guests or your family is authorized to walk in that acreage. Is that what you're telling me?
Our family and
At any time?
at any time.
So during hunting, during the winter, is it just walking
It's just walking.
down a trail?
Right.
But you're authorized to do that?
Right. That was a reservation that my parents kept when they gave
So
the rest
yes.
under DNR control.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're maybe you don't know this answer. So can anybody walk on that land that you gave to the DNR, or
No.
is it just your family?
Just our family and people we authorize. It's
Okay.
not It's a
It's not
closed,
open to Joe public.
right, it's a,
Okay, that's what I want. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions, petition or what we're discussing? Now, would we like to allow Mr. Jake Weisner to speak again, or it seemed like he had some questions he wanted to get answered, and
I have no problem with questions, but if we get it out in the open, but I don't want to listen to debate back and forth.
right, and that's what's going to get cut off if that's what it turns into. I just wanted to allow him the opportunity. Okay, Jake, do we have you back now? Still there, Jake? You're muted. I don't know if you muted if you can unmute yourself.
You there?
Yep, now we can hear you.
I don't have a problem now that we know that the campground is not gonna be some big immaculate deal. Just that we don't have loud music, you know, especially late September, early October. And just to remind your guests that there are boundaries. That's all we can ask.
Anybody have anything else? Okay, this time? No? Okay, thank you. We're not gonna go back and forth. So you have heard the reasonable request of your neighbor. I'm not going to go into telling you to do or what to do or what not to do. I'm just saying you've heard it. Okay. Is there anybody else to speak on this item?
I guess I know it's a little bit, not really a question. I don't know how we, and we'll be discussing this, but I don't know how we as a committee can go ahead and say, you can't go ahead and have a wedding, whether it be in October or November, whether the deer hunting is going on or not. I don't know how we can do that.
Right.
It's still his property.
Mhm.
And as long as he's not trespassing on the other person's property, I don't think it's this committee's obligation to do that. So it's just my 2 cents worth.
Just wanted to make sure I closed the public. Yes, speaking part of this, come back to the committee for a discussion. Is there anything else?
Can I ask Mr. Metz another question?
Can you ask Mr. Metz another question? We good? Okay, go ahead. I don't want to do anything without my people's approval.
Okay, so just a simple question. How many years has that property been in your family? I know you were saying grandparents, but
since about 1880.
Remember on the barn? 1888.
The barn is 1888. yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we did talk about.
So Trevor living there is the sixth generation.
very good, thank you.
I'd like the zoning administrator to carry roll. I'd just like to point out that part of this application is of the bed and breakfast too that Trevor occupies. They are licensed as that as well.
And was there any correspondence on this? Yeah, I did close. the
Okay.
public.
I did receive correspondence from Tom and Carla Dowling as one of the few neighbors of the Metz Farm. We'd like to share our support for their B&B license application. We feel this is a great resource for people to experience some of the wonderful things the area has to offer, as well as bring additional business to other local establishments. Correspondence from Katie Boozer. Hello, I'm one of Met's family's neighbors, and I'd like to support a zoning change that allows them to have campers, lodging guests. Correspondence also from Nathan Harder. I heard there's a meeting that regarding the B&B. My understanding is that he's looking for exception to be able to run a B&B. I support this. He's a great neighbor and responsible. His B&B would be very welcome here. I also have a resolution from the town of Winnebago recommending approval of the conditional use request with the following findings. 1, allowed under county code. 2, cabins with on-site pumps or privately owned wastewater treatment systems.
Okay, is that it for the correspondence? Okay, do we have any other discussion with the committee?
One more thing now.
Okay.
You said that you live in the house.
Yeah.
It's also going to be a bed and breakfast. You live there 365 days of the year. Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
have a lot of information on this one tonight. Okay, we'll close this one and we'll move on to item number 4.
Okay, application number 2022-CU-6050. Property owner Jonathan Savengros. Tax parcel 010-0089-04. Location of premises 7070 Wooden Shoe Road. Legal description being part of the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter, section 6, township 19 north, range 17 east, town of Neenah, Winnebago County, Wisconsin. Code reference, chapter 23, section 23.8-41, exhibit 8-1, 17.25. The description of proposed use, applicant is requesting a conditional use permit for a major home occupation described as used firearm refinishing and repair as permitted by a federal firearms license.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here today? I thought I saw you right there.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes,
State your name and address.
Jonathan, Jonathan Spengros, Susan Charles B as in Victor, ENGROS, 7070 Wooden Shoe Road.
Jane, did you have anything to say about this item?
This is my final step in obtaining an FFL. It's a very lengthy process, and I have to have approval from all local, state, county agencies. I have to be in accordance with your rules and regulations before I can get a firearms license. So hopefully this goes well, and I will finally be able to start working.
Any questions for him?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you explain, I know you say firearm refinishing, but can you explain what you would do to a firearm? Give me an example, if you would please.
So like hand-me-down firearms, hunting firearms, shotguns, hunting rifles, things that have been abused, neglected, broken, they become unsafe. There are also items that have sentimental value as they get handed down through generations. They end up being not worth a whole lot other than to the people that own them. So my idea and focus was to provide a service of refinishing the wood, steel, repairing the parts, which are pretty cheap. The wood components and steel components and mechanical functioning of firearms to make them safe, if I can, and return them to the owner so that they can enjoy. Now, that's not all that I can do. I have 20 years of weapons and firearms training in the military and law enforcement. So, but that's my focus. It's kind of hard to find that service, and if you do find that service, it's very expensive.
Thank you.
Do this, so with this permit, will you be able to also sell firearms?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? And I would venture this, and I just have one question. I would venture to say because of the FFL, then you would also be able to be basically the middleman in private sales when people need the
Firearms transfer,
yes.
both private and through a manufacturer, yes.
Right, okay, just wanted to clarify all of that too, so. Okay. Not seeing anyone else. Is there anybody else here to speak on this item? I don't see anybody on Zoom right now, so it's just the people that are here. And anyone else to speak on this item? Anyone else to speak on this item? Seeing no one, will close the. Oh, yep, I'm going right to you. Close the public section of this and come to you with correspondence.
Thank you. We did receive a resolution from the town of Neenah recommending approval with the following conditions. The conditional use permit will become effective on the date the applicant provides the town clerk with a copy of the current license for the operation of the gun repair or gun smithing business on the premises from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and shall expire upon one, the date on which the license is no longer in effect, or two, the business is sold or any other way is turned over to another party or entity. Second condition, there shall be no signs on the property advertising the business. The third condition, all the guns on the premise when not actively being repaired shall be stored in a locked, secure gun safe.
And do we have any comments or any discussion on this? Okay, I guess we'll move on to our last item of the evening, 5.
Okay. Application 2022-ZC-6080, applicant Danielle Gabbert and others. Location of premises 1417 Larson Road, tax parcel 010-0196-02. Legal description being part of the southwest quarter of section 19, township 20 north, range 17 east, town of Neenah, Winnebago County, Wisconsin. Explanation, applicant is requesting a zoning map amendment to A2 general agriculture to eliminate dual zoning and to continue general agricultural use of the property.
Thank you, and we have a petitioner here. On the outside.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
State your name and address.
Jeff Weaver, 1417 Larson Road, 54956.
Can you spell your last name?
WIECHERT.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to say about your item here?
Our property's been a horse farm since 1950, 1960 with Hammonds. And we just want to replace the fence. We cleaned it up. We spent the last 10 months cleaning, making it really pretty next to the new Neenah High School. We are not putting in a big dairy, not putting in that. We just want to be able to, my stepson, which I want him to grow up in the 4-H. My fiance and I both grew up in the 4-H program, FFA. Went over the country showing and doing, having fun with the horses and stuff like that. And we just want to be able to have him have the same opportunity with the show lamb, because right now we can't use the barn to have a show lamb or have a horse, or even have the 4-H kids from the 4-H club come over and learn and put on demonstrations. And I'm a strong believer in the 4-H program to help these kids. They're less trouble, they're more energetic, they're more confident. So I really want to pass that on to the next generation. And we just want to be able to put on a show lamb or put on a show steer, have a 4-H meeting out there, put on a presentation and help these kids to, that, and along with Little Henry being able to do that. And it is not going to be a big dairy, not going to be a stockyards, it's not going to be any of that. We just want to be able to help 4-Hers, let Little Henry do what my fiance and I were able to do and simplify the zoning, because right now it's 2 parcels and it kind of jig-jags. And now that the new Neenah High School, we have spent a lot of time cleaning up and really putting it up. And we will be way under the allowed animal units per acre. That's not going to be a big deal. We just want to be able to let Henry have a show lamb or the horse out there if he wants to ride a horse. And
Any questions? Answer a lot of the questions that someone was probably had.
So you can't use that barn now?
right now, the front part is business.
Okay.
And residential.
That's why it came. The barn's okay. It looked like it's okay from the road. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, part of it's kind of goofy on the map on how it is. And so we just want to be all ag so we can do that kind of stuff.
Any other questions for the petitioner? I am not seeing anyone else here. I'm not seeing anyone on Zoom.
And we also are, many of the properties all with us, next door and everything else are all equally in size, all zone ag. So they are all similar in size and they're already J2.
Well, guess I'll go through the motion here. Anyone else to speak? Anyone else to speak? Anyone else to speak? I'm seeing no one. We'll close the public speaking part of it. Do we have any correspondence on this one?
We have received a resolution from the town of Neenah recommending approval of the zoning map amendment request with the following findings. Town has an adopted land use plan. 2, town action agrees with town land use plan.
Thank you, Carrie. And that being read in, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?